learned a lot from real estate. We learned how to cold call. I'd say, hi, I'm Paula Harrington with Century 21. Do you want to buy a house now, or do you want to sell your house now or in the near future? And believe it or not, people start talking. It was that easy. You just pick up the phone.
That's crazy. Yeah. What that also shows too is like the importance of activity. And if you just touch enough people and do enough work, like
absolutely,
you're going to find some leads and make some sales, like.
If I have a slow week, I send out a few emails on a Friday night, might 40 of them. Hey, just touching base. We talked 6 months ago, just a little touch of somebody that I already had a rapport with. I come back in on Monday and there's someone responding, multiple response, and there's new business sitting there for me. So activity is really important.
It's huge. Yeah. What other advice would you give to agents from an activity standpoint because your agency is making, I believe you have a 7-figure agency, right? That does really well, which is awesome. And a lot of people, I know you're very humble. You don't say that a lot, but like there's a lot of people that would love to have a 7-figure agency. What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. Your host, Cody Askins. Today's special guest is from Plano, Texas with the Enrollment Store. She was successful real estate agent turned absolute insurance professional. Please welcome to the podcast and the channel, Paula Harrington.
Well, thank you, Cody. That was a great introduction with a lot of enthusiasm.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You have been doing some amazing things. Like you had a lot of success in real estate. You're probably having even more success in insurance, I would guess, because you do have a very large agency with a ton of agents and a bunch of success. Did you envision that you would be where you're at in your career with a successful agency at this point? Is that like ever on your...
Well, how many people ever dream of being an insurance agent when they grow up? Most of us don't, right?
Not many.
And, I got into real estate when I was 21. I got my license right at 21 in California. My parents owned a real estate office, and it was a franchise model. A franchise is not around anymore, but they worked that brokerage firm for 20 years. And so I took their experience as entrepreneurs. I had an entrepreneurial spirit myself, got into real estate early, was in it 6 or 7 years. And then I stayed home and raised children for 10 years. And I wanted something that I could do part-time as I got a little bit older.
Yep.
And I had the opportunity to go in and be an assistant in my girlfriend's husband's insurance company. He wanted her full-time, and we bargained with her that he'd get both of us part-time. That'd be a full-time position he didn't have to pay benefits for. And we worked 9 to 2 Monday through Thursday. So we negotiated that with him. That's awesome. He was a wonderful mentor to me. I was there about 2 years, got my start in the employer group market. And then went off on my own. I decided, I had that entrepreneurial spirit. I thought, well, why should I work for the next 10, 15 years for someone else?
Yep.
I could be building something, a legacy for my family. So about 2 years experience, I stepped out on my own after that. So that was in 2006 to 2008. And then I became an individual broker. I call it one of those lone wolf brokers. I was doing that until I was 38 years old.
Yeah.
And then at 38, I hired a business coach. And said it was after the disruption in the marketplace when the Affordable Care Act was passed and they were doing exchanges in all these states. And I decided, if you can't beat them, join them. Let's learn this. Let's do something new. So that disruption actually increased our business by 24%, I think, that year. And as we stepped into that. And so I hired a business coach at the end of that first year. That would have been 2013, enrolling for 14, I believe, for marketplace plans. So we had a business coach look at our systems and our processes, because I still had people calling me like 2 weeks later saying, man, I need help. And they extended the deadline, so we were able to help some more. But after that, they were still calling because they didn't realize they missed the deadline. But there were just so many people that needed help in the community with that disruption. So the following year, after meeting with this business coach, he said, have you thought about teaching others to do what you do? So I had this idea that there's a home and auto place on every corner in every town, but where can you walk in and actually get help with health insurance? So I envisioned having a store like the UPS store, the Apple store, thus the Enrollment Store, to walk in and get help with health insurance.
Okay, so fascinating story. I love listening to everything you're doing. One of the things I want to pivot back to, because I think it's really relevant. I think there's a ton of entrepreneurs, real estate agents that can learn from this all over the world. I would like to pivot back to real estate and the success there for a second, if we can.
Absolutely. I find that realtors and insurance agents have a lot in common, and that's the desire to help people. Most of the realtors I know are super social, super friendly, go really hard workers. They do a lot of work up front before they ever get paid on a sale. The sales cycle is so much longer than insurance. We do a lot of quoting and stuff up front to find solutions for people. And sometimes they say no, and we hit the next button. Their next button could be 3, 4, or 5 months away from that next sale. So, but the same heart and the same passion, the same mindset that drives a realtor is a good fit for insurance as well.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Which do you enjoy doing more?
Well, I mentioned I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. Yeah. So I needed that flexibility of being available when my kids got out of school, help them with homework, carpooling, and real estate is weekend and evening grind. If that's when the consumers are off work and they're calling you on a sign and they want you to rush over to go let them in a house. So it was a lot harder to do in that stage of my life.
Yeah. You also mentioned, so coming like off of work for 10 years and raising children. Was it hard to go back into the workforce after that? Or was it the transition?
I used to with Jack, that negotiation we did to work just 4 days a week while the kids were in school. But then when I went off on my own, I remember setting up Harrington Insurance Solutions and having all my contracts with the carriers and getting my laptop ready with all the tabs saved and my username and password. So I was ready to go. And then I'd wake up in the morning to say, okay, who can I help today? So I just had that attitude that somebody needed my help. And I built it slowly over time. This was before Affordable Care Act, and I would buy leads. I'd spend probably $1,000 to $1,200 a month. And I sold a lot of United Health One, which was golden rule back then, before United bought them out. And I knew the reps really well. And I asked the reps, where are you going to market? Where is it real competitive? And that's where I spent my money on my ROI, my leads, the return on investment. And I would start in the morning after I got the kids off to school on the East Coast. I do Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, some of those states. And then I take a break, go to lunch, take a walk in the neighborhood, come back, and I do Wisconsin through Texas. And then I was a mom from like 3 to 7, 3 to 8, and got my kids settled in. And I go in the back office and I call Arizona, Nevada, California, who's on the West Coast time zone. They were just getting home from work, so I could follow up on those.
I love it. That's
and I would
great.
just quote, show them. That was back then we did screen sharing. I talked to them on the phone, and when they saw a solution that fit them, I would just ask, what's your middle initial, and start filling out that application.
I love it. Yes.
One client at a time.
Yeah. Was that a go-to question of like, okay, I'm just going to ask this, and then I'm going to transition right into the sell, was like into filling out the app was, hey, what's your middle initial? That's cool.
My close.
I like it. Do you still use it today?
Yeah, I got it from real estate too.
What's your middle initial?
I learned a lot from real estate. We learned how to cold call. I'd say, hi, I'm Paula Harrington with Century 21. Do you want to buy a house now, or do you want to sell your house now or in the near future? Okay, that again. Hi, I'm Paula Harrington with Century 21. Would you like to sell your house now or in the near future? And believe it or not, people start talking. It was that easy. You just pick up the phone.
That's crazy. Yeah. What that also shows too is like the importance of activity. And if you just touch enough people and do enough work, like
absolutely,
you're going to find some leads and make some sales, like.
If I have a slow week, I send out a few emails on a Friday night, might 40 of them. Hey, just touching base. We talked 6 months ago, just a little touch of somebody that I already had a rapport with. I come back in on Monday and there's someone responding, multiple response, and there's new business sitting there for me. So activity is really important.
It's huge. Yeah. What other advice would you give to agents from an activity standpoint because your agency is making, I believe you have a 7-figure agency, right? That does really well, which is awesome. And a lot of people, I know you're very humble. You don't say that a lot, but like there's a lot of people that would love to have a 7-figure agency, right? Which is really cool. So to go literally from real estate to, did you ever make 7 figures in real estate or no?
I did not. Unfortunately, my career was cut a little bit short. Yeah.
Okay. So from a six figures in real estate?
No, I was probably making 60 to 80,000.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so from
I had some really tough markets. It's not that I wasn't good and I didn't have
sure.
activity. I was in, I think when I started, interest rates were coming down to 15, 16, 14, 15, 16. I remember when they were 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we thought that was going to be the lowest rate ever. So um, I worked crack slabs, short sales. After the major Northridge quake in California, where one person had insurance on their home and could repair and the other one couldn't, so it kept the prices plummeted. So I
Mm,
had really tough markets to sell in, but I got a lot of experience.
yeah.
I mentioned my parents were brokers, Cody, and one of the things, they were in a franchise model, and it was a typical agency, a brokerage that the brokerage would make 60, the agents, new agents would come in, get licensed and make 40, and after they got some experience, 3 to 5 years, they might do a 50-50 split. But my parents were in a franchise model where that was the model that they bought into. And that particular franchise, and it's not one I mentioned earlier, I just want to make the point of that, but that particular franchise didn't adapt to the market. And other brokerages came in and started offering those same agents that now my parents had hired, recruit, trained, and got experience, had relationship with family. Those agents started getting wooed away by a little bit higher commission split.
Mm,
And the Remax came in first in the market, and they might do 60, 40, turned on its head. And then Keller Williams would come in and do 70%, or Remax would go up. And so, but my parents didn't have the ability to do that because they were stuck in a franchise model. It said, this is the way you have to run your business. And so I took that from the first year or two when I hired, recruited, trained some agents for the Enrollment Store. I realized there's the same tension with our agents that we recruit as in the real estate market. And that is, once they get experience, they don't need you as much, and they would like to make more of their money, keep more of their money. So I think it's really, really important to have a successful agency when you go from building your own book and having I think I had 2.5 assistants before I actually stepped out and did the agency. But so my revenue was going up, 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 but my profit margins weren't tracking the same because I had to keep hiring out the extra workload that it took. So I was working really hard so other people could have full-time and a half jobs. So I realized it put some strain on the profit margin. When you start to see that, that's a really good time to consider mentoring and training other people to do what you do. And it's a really good time to start thinking like an agency. I can do this. I started out with just 5 agents, and it's been 10 years, and we've probably had over 50 come through our system.
incredible. Yeah. Incredible. How many do y'all have now?
We have 27 agents and 8 employees on the LOA model. There's 2 different models. And the downstream, we just started, once we joined Impact Legacy Group, we were able to increase our contracts. So then we could also hire, recruit, and retrain lateral talent. People, maybe they weren't happy where they were at, or they weren't getting the support they needed. And so we were able to do that. And we just started last year, and we have a downstream model as well. So there's 2 revenue models that you can do. And it's really fun to watch. I've been working with Ty James over at Impact.
Yeah.
And he runs an academy over there. We were kind of doing the same thing. We had Pathway to Success within our agency. And but the tension was after that 3 to 5 years, we had a buyout agreement in our that they could buy out their book in 3 years, and then they can, go on their own. But they're like, we don't want to go, but we still want to make more money. So having to pass for them, you keep the relationship, you keep the families together, the friendships, but you help somebody else to grow. So as you're being pulled up, you help pull them up too. So we meet with all of our agents, not just on the marketing plan, like how to get new customers, but where do they want to go with their business? Where do they want to take it? What phase are they in business? And what's the next level to get them to? And Cody, you're so great about this, like changing their mindset. Maybe they haven't even thought about them doing that.
True.
So believing in them, letting them know they can, and showing them the path to do it. We start them out with a marketing plan, and I'll ask them, depending on which vertical. So we do employer group, individual family, Medicare, life. I ask them to get good at 1 or 2 verticals. because once they can, I call it wash and repeat, and they could do it without having to look at their notes or turn back. It's very natural for them. I know they're ready to add that next one so that they can help one client or family with several different insurance policies. And it keeps that client coming back and felt nurtured and someone's looking out for them. They do their annual reviews and all that. But I ask them to go in, at least pick 5 marketing activities for each vertical and be intentional in them. So I think coaching them, holding them accountable, going over, their business with them. Agents will get to a certain size where their business is pretty big, their book, and the renewal comes up, learning how to manage that. A lot of them really appreciate that, learning how to get their arms around their business and view it as a business. So I just have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun watching people grow. Just 3 quick stories for you. I have a couple top producers, and one came to me at the age of 60. He was a client. I knew his wife from the chamber, and he's now turning 70. So he's been with me 10 years, and he makes over 6 figures off his individual book, not even running an agency.
That's cool.
And he thought, when he got let go of corporate America, or was, gave the little package saying, hey, it's your time to retire, he kind of thought, this is it. Savings wasn't enough. They did save, invested money as 401k. And then they're starting looking at, okay, I get Medicare or Social Security in a few years, and we're going to live off that. And they just moved a little bit further north in the Metroplex and built a home, and they got to pick out their flooring and their tile and he never thought that, I think that was just 2 years ago, but he would never thought or dreamed that he'd be making 6 figures over, in that retirement age. And most of it's been off Medicare and residual income. So he started out with ACA because it got cash in fast, cross-sold some other stuff like life and indemnity plans. But for the most part, his Medicare has grown and grown and grown, because that residual income is where it needs to be. Now his wife's getting her license. So if something happened to one of them, they could step in and have that income flow to the family. So we look out for our agents. I have another stay-at-home mom. She's been with me 6 years. And she does ACA and Medicare. That's just about it. She focuses on those 2 verticals, rarely cross-sells anything else into them. But she makes $14,000-15,000 a month.
Wow.
Consistently every month.
So awesome.
In 6 years. And my heart is to take, we start talking about real estate. Real estate is, the season is spring and summer. They're super busy. Our busy season is fall. It's October through December.
True.
The same person would pair up so well, being able to, if they need that income flow, money coming in January, February, March, April, May, cash flow coming in while they're doing the real estate, whether the market's up or down, they would have that, building that business. It might take a couple of years to build up, realistically, one client at a time, but the residual income is phenomenal.
Yes, it is. It's truly incredible. Did you have one more story?
Yeah, I was going to tell you about a young person that was trying to decide whether to go to college, not go to college. And we were, I said, you know what, if you give me 3 years, you can make 6 figures in 3 years versus going to college and coming out 6 figures in debt. And corporate America is going to hire you for $50,000-60,000 a year. And it's going to take all those years to pay off that debt.
True.
So young people, it's an incredible opportunity for young people to consider, if they're considering the trades or something else, but they're not sure they want to be in the trades their whole life because maybe it's very physical and it would provide to them up to a certain age, and they would do quite well. But they're more, they're analytical. They like to problem solve. They dream about supporting a family, and maybe someday owning a family business. They could do this.
Yes, it's so lucrative. And if someone wants to do that and learn more from you and reach out and start to really look into this, what should they do? Should they text? Should they email? Should they call? Should they hit a link?
Well, they could certainly text me, 214-732-3355. They can also email info@enrollmentstore.com. And we have a Friday Power Hour. I have once every 2 weeks a recruiting event online. So if they want to join that, and then we have with our Impact Legacy group, we have Meet the Partners every Thursday night. So I'll invite people onto that. Usually I do that one-to-one appointment with them, get to know them, tell them our story, come invite them in if they're local and they want to kind of see the office and get to know the other agents. I invite them to something where they can ask questions of the others and hear those success stories. And then if they want to go further, then I invite them to meet the partner on Thursday nights.
Amazing. I love it. Paula, you are rocking it. From real estate agent not making six figures to insurance agent making 7. Truly incredible. I appreciate you sharing your story, and I thank you for being on the channel today.
Thank you.
Paula, you rock. Thank you guys for listening to Power Player Podcast. We will see you on the next episode. Adios.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there.
I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Yeah, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.